If you are within 10 years of retirement and your advisors never once explained what rising interest rates actually do to the safe part of your portfolio, there's a real chance you're carrying a risk you don't even know you have. And in 2022, that exact risk wiped a meaningful percentage off of the bond portfolios that people thought was the boring, safe money. We've spent decades sitting across the table from families in exactly your spot. Let us show you what most people miss.
This video is for educational purposes only. Always consult professionals before making legal, tax, and investment decisions.
So here's what we're going to walk you through. First, the one thing about bonds that surprises almost everyone. The thing that turned safe money into a meaningful loss in a single year. And before we're done, we'll show you the quiet force underneath. All of it. The one that decides whether your retirement keeps up with your life or slowly falls behind. Most people never see it coming until they're already living in it.
Let's start with the part nobody explains. Interest rates and bond prices move in opposite directions. Rates go up, bond prices go down. And here's why that matters more right now than it did even a few years ago. We went through some stretches where short-term interest rates sat at practically zero for a long time. So a whole generation of savers got comfortable with the idea that bonds just sit there, safe, steady, nothing to think about. Then rates climbed, and people watched the safe part of their portfolio drop in a way they'd only ever seen from stocks.
And that's the thing. Most people are used to the stock market bouncing around. They've made peace with it. But on the bond side, the supposedly safer side, they never expected it to move at all. So here's what we'd actually want you to understand, because it's the antidote to the panic.
There's this concept in finance called duration. Don't let the word scare you, it's simple. Duration is just how long on average the money in your bond portfolio is tied up before it comes back to you and you can reinvest it. So let's picture two people. Rates jump tomorrow. The first one is a bond maturing this week. So next week they reinvest at a new, higher rate. For them, rising rates are good news. The second person, their money is locked up for 10 more years. They're stuck watching everyone else earn more while they wait.
So same rate increase, two completely different outcomes. The only difference is how the portfolio was built before rates ever moved. And that's the whole point. This isn't about predicting rates. Nobody can do that. Not us, not the people on TV. It's about building something that holds up no matter which way they go.
Now you might be thinking, okay, but most of my money isn't even in bonds and I don't have a mortgage. So why does any of this touch me?
Because interest rates don't stay in the bond market. They reach into almost every corner of your financial life, even the parts that look unrelated. Think about a business deciding whether or not to build a new plant. When borrowing costs jump, a lot of them say, not this year. That means fewer projects, fewer people working, and a slower economy. A slower economy can show up on the stock side of your portfolio as well. Or think about it this way. If you could lock in a guaranteed return on a safe CD, how much are you really tempted to risk in the market? Rates quietly change how every dollar in the country gets invested, including yours.
If you're getting value out of this is the stuff that most people never hear, even from the advisor they're already paying. That's what this channel is. The conversations that usually happen behind a closed door, but out in the open. Subscribe and you won't miss them. Here's the force underneath it all.
Everything we just talked about, interest rates, bonds, the economy, it all sits on top of one thing, inflation. Ronald Reagan once described inflation as being as violent as a mugger, as frightening as an armed robber, and as deadly as a hitman. And we think it's the most underestimated enemy a retiree faces. Not because it's dramatic, because it's quiet. It doesn't crash. It just slowly, steadily raises the cost of the life you've already built.
And it isn't just groceries and gas. It's healthcare, it's energy, it's every lifestyle expense you've gotten used to. Here's the question almost nobody asks themselves. Does your retirement plan assume inflation? Because if you built your plan around prices staying flat, and then you live 25 or 30 years in retirement, that gap compounds. It just grows every single year, and it never gets better on its own.
So let us show you how this is real, and it's our own family. Our dad was a planner, always thinking 10, 15 and 20 years out. He died in 2019. The next year, our mom's tax bill went up by almost 100%, nearly doubled on roughly the same income. That's just how the tax code treats a surviving spouse. Now, here's the part that matters. Because Dad had planned for it, it was manageable. Had he not, that number would have been so much worse. One thing, planned for in advance, and it changed everything for our mom.
And that's really the lesson under this whole topic. You can't control interest rates. You can't control inflation. You can't control what the market does the year you retire. But here's what no one tells you. You don't have to control them. You just have to build a plan that's ready for them. We know they're coming. Have a plan that accommodates them.
So we'll be straight with you. This is not magic, and rates aren't always the villain. If rates spike and you've got money maturing soon, it's actually a gift because you get to reinvest higher. There's a real upside. But if all your money's locked up long and your plan assumed rates and prices would just sit still, that's where it costs you, quietly, year after year.
So what do you actually do with all this? A few things. Make sure the amount you're pulling from your portfolio each year is genuinely safe and that your income is built to rise over time so it keeps pace with inflation instead of falling behind it. Because remember, retirement isn't funded by your balance. It's lived on your income.
And here's the one most people get backwards. Don't retire the day you have just enough. Build in a cushion. Sometimes that means working one more year. Not because you have to, but so you've got a buffer when something shows up fast, whether it's higher prices or higher interest rates. The thing you didn't see coming. Rates will rise and fall for your whole life. What actually decides your retirement is whether your plan has been built to absorb it or whether you're reacting to it in a panic.
And don't forget, panic is a real enemy here. In 2022, when bonds dropped, the people who got hurt the worst weren't the ones who simply held a sensible plan. They were the ones who panic sold, who turned a temporary drop into a permanent loss. Good planning doesn't react emotionally to a scary year. We're going to have scary years almost every year. It anticipates that scary years will come, and it's built to ride through them. So now you understand the forces working on your money in the background. Rates, bonds, inflation, all of it. But here's the question that should keep you up tonight. If a bad year hits in the first few years of your retirement, right when you start pulling income out, the damage isn't temporary. It can follow you for the rest of your life. There's a narrow window, the 5 years on either side of your retirement date, where one wrong setup could quietly undo 30 years of savings. That's the one we'd watch now. How the 5 years before retirement matter more than the 30 after, and exactly how to protect that window. It's right here.